Welcome, everyone, to today's Town of Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals meeting. The date is February 12th, 2026. We'll start with a message from the Governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
Please note, this meeting is being recorded and will be available shortly hereafter for scheduled and on-demand viewing on any smartphone or tablet device. If anyone else is recording the meeting, including the use of AI note-taking apps, please notify the chair. Pursuant to Governor Healy's March 28, 2025 signing of Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2025, extending certain COVID-19 measures adopted during the state of emergency, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law until June 30th, 2027, this meeting of the Chatham Zoning Board of Appeals is being conducted in person and via remote participation. Every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings as provided for in the order. A reminder that persons who would like to listen to this meeting while in progress may do so by calling the phone number 1-508-945-4410, conference ID 998-537-956#, or joining the meeting online via Microsoft Teams through the link in the posted agenda. While this is a live broadcast and simulcast on Chatham TV, Xfinity Channel 1072, despite our best efforts, we may not be able to provide real-time access. We will post a record of this meeting on the town's website as soon as possible. In accordance with town policy, the public can speak to any issue, hearing, or business item on the agenda during the meeting when recognized by the chair.
We need a roll call of all members authorizing this form of having our meeting. Stay with Mr. Veach, please.
Yes, David H. Veach, and I approve of this meeting format.
Ed Acton, I approve.
Paul C. Semple, I approve this format.
Randy Potash, I approve.
David S. Nixon, I approve.
Virginia Famaguy, approve.
Stephen D. DeBoer, I approve.
Lee Hovey, I approve.
We ask that any citizens or non-board members participating in the call via the phone, please give us your name and the last four digits of your phone number for ID purposes only. The meeting format is as follows. The hearing notice will be read by the lady to my right. She's the PPO for the town. That is the principal permitting officer. Her name is Sarah Clark. We would then have a presentation by the applicant or their authorized representative. We would then ask for anybody who wishes to speak in favor of the application to do so. It's a time limit of 5 minutes. We would then read any and all letters that the board had received. Then we would ask for anybody who wishes to either speak against the application or would like to speak with a question about it. That is next. Following all that, there might be a little bit of rebuttal testimony. Then we would have direct questions from the board members. When we're done with that, we'd close the public hearing. And we go into deliberation, and eventually we'd vote. Voting in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts for a zoning board of appeals, in order to be successful, you need to have a supermajority. In our case, there are 5 votes, so that means you need to get 4 votes to be successful. Voting today will be Paul, Randy, myself, Ginny, and Steve. Are there any questions? Okay. I'll start with our PPO.
The board has 2 sets of minutes, one from January 8th and one from January 15th.
Randy.
I move to approve the minutes from January 8th, unless there's any questions.
I will second that motion and vote yes.
Okay, we need a
I vote
vote.
yes. Yes.
Paul?
I voted yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes. Okay, the second one's?
What's the next date? I move to approve the minutes from January 19th,
15th.
15th, 2026, unless anybody has any changes. Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Very minor change on page 2, first sentence. Andrew Singer requested continue application 25034 to February 5th, not 4th, 2026.
So I move that as amended.
I'll second that motion and vote yes.
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 Steve votes yes.
I vote yes. Okay. Application number 25-131, please, Sarah.
Application number 25-131, Brian and Nancy Burdick, care of Leslie Schneeberger, 1475 Orleans Road, Unit A, Harwich, Mass. 02645. Owners of property located at 356 Stage Harbor Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 13B, Block 30, Lot 11. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the removal of a roof overhang and construction of an addition. The proposed addition will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration and under the second accept clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, requires the grant of a special permit. The existing building coverage is 2,756 square feet, and the proposed building coverage is 2,848 square feet, where 2,850 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 20,517 square feet, where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Welcome, Leslie.
Thank you very much. Leslie Schneeberger here representing Nancy and Brian Burdick, who unfortunately cannot be here today, one's recovering from a surgery. What's before you is a pretty simple proposal, modest, I would say, for a small demolition, removal of a roof overhang. There you go. So you can see there's a roof that's proposed, actually, in here in the existing. There's a fairly large overhang over the existing roof of the garage. And then there's a pergola in between that garage and the house. And what we're looking to do is take that roof overhang off and take the pergola off, put a much smaller sort of copper wash really over the garage doors, and then put a true roof, a copper roof, that you can see in the middle here, between the garage and the house for a breezeway, enclosed by a breezeway between the two. It's about it's 100 square feet. It's a small addition, and it brings building coverage up to, as Sarah said, 2,448 square feet on the property. There's not much more to say, so I'll run through the criteria I think would make sense. So adequacy of the site, as we've talked about, the site is 2,517 square feet. This addition will be under the allowable coverage, building coverage at 2,848 square feet. Compatibility of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. On Stage Harbor, almost every house is a house, a garage, and most often connected by some sort of breezeway, so I think it's very compatible and in keeping with that neighborhood. Extent of the proposed increase in the nonconforming nature, it doesn't actually increase the nonconforming nature. It doesn't come any closer on the setbacks or change the size of the lot. That is what it is. Suitability of the site, not including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties, natural environment, slopes of vegetation. I think it has no impact to neighboring properties. It's between the two larger structures. There's already a pergola there, so there's already a roof in between. If anything, I think it's improving what's there in the aesthetics of it. And for impact on the site and the neighborhood, the existing stone patio relays water off into the sides. This roof will have downspouts and gutters, so it will actually have less impact. Impact, number 5, impact of scale, siting, and mass on the neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas. It won't be blocking any views and vistas. I think the copper element over the garage doors is a nice traditional detail that will be an improvement, and I think the breezeway will be lovely. It's a much better dynamic to a neighborhood pattern of language to have a door facing the street, whereas right now the door is kind of hidden off to the side. So I think the impact will be an improvement. Compatibility, I think, as stated above, it's really similar to other homes in the area having breezeways connections. Adequacy, number 7, adequacy of method of sewage disposal, source of water and drainage. This isn't going to make any change to sewer. There's no septic related to it. And as discussed, gutters and downspouts will contain all the water. Impact on traffic flow and safety. This won't change the amount of people or cars or vehicles at the residence, and it doesn't block anything safety-wise. Number 9, noise and litter. The construction will obviously be contained. It will be very minor. It's a very small project, not changing anything. Adequacy of utilities and public services. It won't be making any changes to those. I don't think 11 and 12 are applicable.
Okay, thank you, Leslie. I presume that is the conclusion of your presentation?
Yes.
Okay. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to speak. I'd say there's no one for that, so we'll go on to the correspondence. We have one piece of correspondence. This is from Judith Giorgio, Board of Health. She writes on February 9th, "I have no concerns. This is a Seward property approved for 5 bedrooms." End of correspondence. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams who would like to speak against this project or has a specific question? If so, please indicate that you'd like to speak. Gentleman in the back.
Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. How tall is this addition?
If we could pull up the drawings? It's the portion in the center right here. It's lower than everything else.
All right, thanks.
Are there any other questions? Okay, we'll go on to questions from the board. Does anybody on the board have a question? Okay, Randy?
So, I move to close the public hearing and move into deliberations.
Okay, we need a vote on that. Paul?
All vote yes.
Randy?
Yes?
Ginny, yes.
Steve, yes.
And I vote yes. All right, deliberations. We'll start with Dave Veach.
Gee, I don't know why anybody on Cape Cod would want to replace a patio sandwiched between 2 buildings with a better-looking mudroom, but it certainly makes sense to me. It's not substantially detrimental anyway. It meets our criteria, and were I voting today, I would vote for it.
Ed?
Yeah, I think we're all pretty familiar with this property. I think this is the 3rd time it's been in front of us in the last couple of years, and it seems like every owner wants to make their own little modification. But I certainly think it's a good idea, and again, if I was voting today, I'd have no issue.
Thank you.
Paul?
Yes, I think it meets all of our criteria, and assuming that they can stay within 2 square feet, they're all set. But hopefully, they're not going to come back here for any change on that.
I'm sure that's true.
Duly noted.
Randy?
Yep, so I think it fits in with the neighborhood. It looks just like all the other houses on the street, to a degree, and it's not substantially detrimental.
Jenny?
Yeah, I agree with Leslie. I think it's an improvement to connect the 2 buildings more fully, and it's not substantially more detrimental, and I would support it.
Steve?
I agree. I mean, I think it's pretty harmless. It's not affecting any of the setbacks or anything, and not detrimental at all. So, good project.
Lee?
I agree with my colleagues. I think it is an improvement.
Okay, Randy?
Yeah, so our staff has suggested all construction activity and vehicles be contained on site or neighboring property with the permission of the property owner. Does that work?
Yep.
And between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed, no work shall be permitted on the weekends, and construction activity between 8 and 5. Does that work for the applicant too?
That does.
Okay, so I would move that we approve the application as submitted with those conditions.
All vote yes,
To second it.
and I'll second the motion.
Thank you. Ann votes yes.
Yes.
Randy votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes. That's a unanimous decision. Thank you very much, Leslie.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay, 26-002, please.
Application number 26-002, Hall Family Realty Trust, care of Michael D. Ford Esquire, P.O. Box 485, West Harwich, Mass. 02671. Owner of property located at 5 Windy Hill Way, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 12A, Block 4A, Lot C7. The applicant seeks to enlarge, extend, or change a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the construction of a dormer and the conversion of an attic to habitable space. The proposed changes will comply with all bulk and dimensional requirements of the bylaw, but is considered a substantial alteration and under the second accept clause of Section 6 of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, requires the grant of a special permit. The building coverage will remain 2,973 square feet, where 3,000 square feet is the maximum allowed. The lot is non-conforming in that it contains 28,853 square feet, where 40,000 square feet is required in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 48, Section 6, and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Chair Nixon and members of the board. Mike Ford. It's my privilege to represent today David and Meredith Hall, trustees of the Hall Family Realty Trust. The Halls are here in the audience today. This is an effort by the Halls to gain some additional bedroom space. They have a large family, and this change in the attic space in this particular house to a bedroom and a bathroom would allow them to accommodate that large family, particularly at summer gatherings. It's a very straightforward project. The total area of being converted to living area is 572 square feet. You can see it on these plans. Why are we here? The only reason we're here is because the lot, which is 28,850 square feet, is non-conforming. 40,000 square feet is required. The structure is conforming in all respects, lot coverage, setbacks, height, and will continue to be, meet all requirements of setback and height. However, under the second accept clause of Chapter 48, Section 6, this seems to be your day for these. If there is an increase in the non-conforming nature of the building or lot, then it is the building commissioner's discretion to refer it for the requirement of a special permit. And in this particular case, where there is additional living area, even though we don't have a floor area ratio metric in our bylaw, the building inspector has the authority to refer this to the Board of Appeals as a substantial change. Therefore, we're here seeking approval under 48-6 for something that we believe is not more substantially detrimental to the neighborhood. So that's the process. We applied for a special permit under both 48-6 and Section 5 of the zoning bylaw. If I may, Mr. Chair, I'll go straight to the findings.
Fine.
So the first finding requires that the site be adequate. I'd suggest the site is adequate here. There's no expansion of the building footprint or coverage. This is a conversion of some interior area for the additional bedroom. And so I'd respectfully suggest that the site is adequate. There is an additional dormer, bedroom and bathroom on this second floor, but again, as I indicated, it doesn't invoke or change in any way any of the metrics under the bylaw. The lot coverage, just for informational purposes, is 2,973 square feet. 3,000 is the limit of a lot this size under the bylaw. No changes to height. The height continues to be what it was when it was initially constructed, which is just under 27 square feet, 26.9. So I'd suggest respectfully the site is adequate. Compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties. We think it fits in with the other properties in this neighborhood. There are a couple of letters, I believe, that the chair will read in support of neighbors for the project. So I think it fits in with the neighborhood. The extent of the increase in the non-conforming nature of the structure or use, there isn't any. As I've indicated, we meet all of the requirements of the bylaw, save for lot size, and will continue to save for lot size once this is constructed. Suitability of the site, including but not limited to impact on neighboring properties or the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, water bodies, and stormwater. We'd suggest that it will have no negative impact on neighboring properties or the natural environment. There are no wetlands on the site. Impact of scale, siting, and mass on the neighborhood, including views, vistas, and streetscape. We believe it will not have any negative effect. It fits right in. Most of the work is interior, and there's one small new dormer on the exterior. Compatibility of the proposed use with neighboring uses. It's residential, will continue to be. This is an important one, number 7, adequacy of method of sewage disposal. The halls, the year before last, actually had the septic system upgraded for a 5-bedroom with an alternative system in anticipation of bringing this forward before the Board of Appeals. And you'll see that when the chair reads the memo from the Board of Health. Impact of traffic flow and safety. We don't believe there will be any. It'll continue to be accessed as it is. I'd suggest it'll have no impact on noise and litter. And there are adequate utilities on this site. 11 and 12, I don't believe, are applicable. So I think the board can easily find in this particular case that the expansion as described will not be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood. We're happy, though, to take any questions the board members may have.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams who would like to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate you'd like to speak. Seeing none, I'll read the correspondence. First is from Judith Giorgio, Board of Health. On February 9th, she writes, I have no concerns regarding this proposal. The Board of Health approved the attic renovation with the installation of an IA septic system in 2022. And then we have a note. This is from Douglas Landy on, February 5th. I'm writing in support of the pending application, seeking approval to finish off the current unfinished portion of the second floor as a 5th bedroom. We live directly across the street and have no concern with the project. We understand the changes proposed are 90% interior and with a dormer change which should have no effect on the appearance of the house. The Halls are very nice neighbors and we hope the board will approve their application. And Mr. Landy lives at 194 Champlain Road. Then we have a note. This is from Joanne and Bob Moss, 154 Champlain. They write on February 2nd, writing in support of the pending application. At the time, they designed the house and built it in 2007. At the time, we were limited to 4 bedrooms by the existing septic system. We were told that the town's public sewer would be extended past our house in the next few years and would allow for the connection of an additional bedroom. So we incorporated that in our design as a future bedroom, but left it as unfinished. I understand the Halls have installed a new septic system which is approved for up to 5 bedrooms. The sewer public system is still a way off, now some 19 years later. The completion of the 5th bedroom will be very easy and cost-effective because of the way it was designed and built. We lived there until 2020 when we moved 3 doors down to 154 Champlain Road with the restoration of the 1790 Starmouth Lighthouse and property. We are happy with the project as we were with 5 Windy Hill. We received numerous compliments over the years from passerbys complimenting the 5 Windy Hill house design and landscaping. The changes proposed are 90% interior and with a dormer change which should have no effect on the appearance of the house. The Halls are very nice neighbors and we hope the board will approve their application. And that is the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft that would like to speak either against this project or has a specific question? If so, please indicate you'd like to join. I see no one. So let's have questions from the board. Ed?
I have no questions.
All right. Paul?
No questions.
Randy?
No questions?
I have no questions.
Steve?
I don't have a question, but I have, I think, an observation. On the site plan, the east setback, although it looks fairly substantial, is not called out on the plan, and maybe you can just have that corrected.
Okay, there were two plans. One had the east setback, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
It's not, it's fairly substantial, I realize that, but
Yeah, it is very substantial. I know the setback required on the side is 25 feet, and it
right,
would
but,
appear to
you know,
be,
the other ones are called out on the site plan, and that one is not. So if you could just have that corrected.
okay, we can have that added,
Yeah,
certainly.
thank you.
Lee?
No questions.
Dave?
Nor do I, Dave, thanks.
Okay. Randy?
I move to close public hearing and move into deliberations.
I'll second the motion. I'll vote yes.
Randy votes yes.
Jenny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes. All right, deliberations. Paul?
Well, this is pretty straightforward. The changes are all within the footprint. It certainly seems like it would be not substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Randy?
It meets the criteria, and I agree with Paul. It's certainly not substantially detrimental, and it seems like a very good project.
Jenny?
Yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Ford. It's a modest and very nice project on a beautiful property, and no changes to the footprint, meets all of our criteria, so I would support it.
Steve?
Well, I think it's a nice project. It seems like there was a lot of foresight and when this house was built, that they were planning this far ahead. So I think it's a great project. It's not detrimental to anything, and I think it'll be great.
Lee?
I agree with everything my colleagues said.
Dave?
As do I.
Ed?
Certainly agree with my colleagues, and I agree with the comment from the previous owners about the numerous comments about their house. I've always loved this house.
Yeah.
So I don't
And-
know if we need conditions. You think, does anyone think we need conditions? Given 90% of it is interior?
I would still keep the summer.
Keep the summer? Okay, so I move to approve the application as submitted. Between June 30th and Labor Day, no exterior construction will be allowed, no work shall be permitted on weekends, and construction activity between 8 and 5 p.m. only. Paul? Second?
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Randy votes yes.
Jenny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
And I vote yes. That's a unanimous vote. Thank you, Mr. Ford.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, Sarah, let's go on to 26-065, please.
Application number 25-065, the Lime Hill 22 Trust, care of James M. Norcross Esquire, P.O. Box 707, Chatham, Mass. 02633. Owner of property located at 202 Lime Hill Road, also shown on the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 12E, Block 4, Lot B6. The applicant seeks to create an unpaved footpath and construct an elevated stairway and elevated walkway with attached kayak rack under Section 4A3A of the Protective Bylaw. The lot contains 31,100 square feet in the R40 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9, and Section 8D2B of the Protective Bylaw. This was continued from August 28th and November 6, 2025, and January 8th, 2026 for re-advertising.
Mr. Norcross, you seem to have aged a few years since the last time we saw you.
Yeah, they send the junior partner out to do these,
Anyway, hello, Mr. Riley.
well,
Floor is yours.
Yep. Bill Riley on behalf of the Lime Hill Road Trust. So this is a situation where, because there was continued, because there were changes made to the design, our neighbor, the Doggerts, had some concerns. Conservation Commission had some concerns. So they, initially, I think they'd, we're gonna have a walkway along the top of the ridge, which would have interfered with the view of one of the neighbors. So they moved the path down below. Then they were gonna have granite steps cut into the ground. And apparently, only the designer liked that. So they have now elevated stairs to a path which is down at the bottom of the hill there. They're doing some substantial replanting along that section by Blue Flax Design. And then we have a catwalk or elevated walkway out to the edge of the marsh. And we believe that there are benefits here. Not only is there a substantial replanting plan on the bank, which is going to improve habitat for the little critters and birdies, but it's going to provide screening from people who are walking down, which will improve the view, we believe, of the Doggett property. Another benefit, we believe, is that by having a catwalk that goes out to the edge of the marsh, people who are accessing the water won't be damaging the marsh. I don't know how many of you are familiar with the effect on the marsh when you don't have a catwalk. I have some pictures here I'll pass out. So this is something that occurs really all over town. These are two pictures, one from the Oyster River and one from the Oyster Pond. And you can see that there's no walkway. Oh, yeah. You can see there's no walkway, and so the marsh, which the property fronts on, is gone because people access the water. That's what people do. So we think that there are substantial benefits as a result of this design. I'll run through the criteria. All right, so this is not our standard criteria because it's not a pre-existing non-conforming structure or use. So this is considered under section Roman numeral 8, small c, number 4. So adequacy of the site in terms of the size of the proposed use. The applicant's property contains 31,000 square feet, and the proposed structures have been designed in accordance with the requirements of the Chatham Conservation Commission and the Department of Environmental Protection. The applicant believes that the site is clearly adequate in terms of size of the proposed use. Suitability of the site for the proposed use. The site is suitable for the proposed use. The elevated stairways and walkways down coastal and vegetated banks are an environmental benefit as less damage is caused to the underlying vegetation and will also provide safer access for the applicant and his family. Impact on traffic flow and safety, we believe none. Impact on neighborhood visual character, including views and vistas. We think that the plantings we're proposing will prevent the project from being seen from the upland side, seen from the water side. The structures are not large in size, and with the new plantings, we believe that the site will be much more visually appealing. We have no sewage issues here. Utilities not applicable. So we have number A, compatibility of the proposed use with surrounding land uses. So it's an accessory structure to a residential home. The proposed project is compatible with surrounding land uses that are all residential in nature. Furthermore, as mentioned above, several neighboring properties already contain similar structures, making this proposal consistent and compatible with the neighborhood. Impact on the natural environment, including slopes, vegetation, wetlands, groundwater, and water bodies. The applicant believes that the proposed project will represent a positive to the natural environment by eliminating potential damage to vegetation by those currently walking down the existing bank without the use of an elevated walkway. Furthermore, the extensive mitigation plantings and removal of invasives further present a benefit to the environment. And lastly, as indicated by the correspondence from the Conservation Commission, which is in your pack, the Commission will be issuing an order of conditions for the project. So we believe that we comply with the requirements of Section Roman numeral 8, and that this would be an appropriate use of the property, and we ask for your approval. That would be our presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Riley. Is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak in favor of this application? If so, please indicate. Gentleman in the back.
Bob Burns, 147 Lime Hill Road. There are 5 properties that use the easement that go down to the water. So this was the old Buckley property, and we've lived in our home now for full-time about 8 years. That embankment is very treacherous going down to the water. So as we go down to the cul-de-sac and then we take the 5-foot easement down to the water, it is very steep. And so it's very dangerous. A lot of us have slipped going down to our moorings. So I'm in favor of some type of staircase down to the water where we keep our dinghy and we have our mooring. And I'm sure the other neighbors would also be in favor of this, because it is, at my age now, 10 years ago, I could do this thing, but now it's getting a little bit hard getting up and down there. So I think, Dave, you were there last year. You and I been for a few minutes, and I think you pretty much saw the embankment and knew how treacherous it was. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who wishes to speak on the subject as being in favor? I see no one, so I'll read the correspondence. On December 22nd, there's a note from the Conservation Commission. The applicant submitted a notice of intent on July 7th. The project was heard by the Conservation Commission on September 10th, October 8th, and December 17th. The project is scheduled for an order of conditions on February 25th, 2026, when it will be conditioned to meet the performance standards under the Wetlands Protection Act. That is the extent of the correspondence. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak against this project or has a specific question? The gentleman in front.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Ted.
My name is Theodore Stribert. I have a piece of land next, I abut right where the path goes. And I have a path that goes through, but I have no structures on my, and nor do I contemplate doing this. I'm concerned about structures being applied to the beach, especially the one that protects the bank that is closer to my property. That one would secure the bank against people going down. It's quite steep, and I think it would form would be an addition. The second one goes across the plant growth and would block anybody circulating across along the beach. I'm curious, is there a difference in population? Do the people that have the easement, or are they restricted to the staircase and not to use the boat to the dock, or is there any usage segregation?
Well, you're not supposed to tie boats up to elevated walkways. That's usually the
So
condition.
everybody on Lime Hill that has access to the easement can use both structures? Is that correct?
Not that I'm aware of. As you know, I'm filling in for the young lad who's busy doing other things. there's been no discussion
Okay,
with me that indicated that they were granting variances to allow the use of these structures.
okay.
You know, if he's a good neighbor, as Bob Burns thought,
Is
well,
there
maybe
an-
they are, but I'm not privy to them.
Is there an explanation of why there's a ladder at the end of the bigger structure, the westmost structure? Seems to be even below, was below, the ladder's going in below water level, almost down to the bottom of the
Well, that,
water is,
so well, presumably, they would, I'm not entirely certain, but generally in a situation like this, they have what's called an outhaul. So they have a skiff or dinghy that is rigged with an outhaul, so you have a shiv at the bottom of the ladder, and a line, you pull the line in, the dinghy comes into the bottom of the ladder. And the ladder is there so you don't have to actually jump into the dinghy, so you can climb down into the dinghy. So that's why there's a ladder.
I see.
Although it would be entertaining to watch people jumping.
Well, I typically would not like to see more structures on the beach front there. Thank you.
Is there anyone else? Yes, the gentleman in the back.
Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. I think I may have missed one of these meetings, but I've been following pretty close, and if there was one recently. There's been a lot of controversy with this. The shellfish warden was against it. I think the coastal resiliency lady was against it. I'm pretty sure there's a general overall consensus against this in the situation because there is public access. And kind of the argument was that, you know, they should improve the public access so everyone can kind of have good access instead of each person, you know, or potentially building these catwalks that can only be used by them. You know, it's kind of like everyone wants one. We're now talking like a substantial impact, if not just this one. So, I mean, I didn't see, I might have missed a meeting where they approved this, but I think there's a general consensus that this is bad. We shouldn't be building, you know, these things, and that's all I have right now. Thanks.
Yeah, Mr. Phillips, I don't see any correspondence from, like, any of those folks that you mentioned. Do we have anything at all, Sarah?
No, because it's not a peer. I did not seek comment from anyone other than the Conservation Commission. I believe Mr. Phillips would be speaking of the Conservation Commission hearings where they did get several and lengthy correspondence from other towns.
I believe they were made in person at the meeting, live.
Yeah, and in the Conservation Commission's note to us, there was no reference to it.
No preference?
No reference.
No
So,
reference.
Okay.
okay?
Oh,
All right. Okay. All right. Is there anyone else? Questions?
Can I respond?
Yeah.
I think one of the issues we have, and that's why I passed out those pictures, is, you know, people are going to access the water. That's why they pay, you know, a significant amount of money to have a property that does have access to the water. And so the town, whether for good or ill, has banned piers. So people are using elevated walkways so they can still get to the water without damaging the salt marsh that lies between the upland and the water. And we all know, I believe, how valuable salt marsh is in the ecological sense. A lot of life begins there, a lot of different life forms are there. Very important environmentally. And and as you can see from the pictures I passed out, you know, where, you know, one at the end of Capri Lane, I actually represented some property owners there who wanted to build a community dock since private piers were no longer allowed. And as you can see, at the end of Capri Lane, where people keep their dinghies, the salt marsh is completely wiped out. And the other picture on Oyster River, you can see there are a couple of either skiffs or some sort of vessel there. So they get the skiff down, they drag it down to the water, and it destroys the salt marsh. So we believe that the benefit here, outweighs, the social concerns of, gee whiz, we have too many structures. We believe the structures provide a benefit, and, it's clear that we addressed these concerns at the Conservation Commission meeting, and the end result was they're prepared to issue an order of conditions by which these structures will be built.
Okay, thank you. Questions from the board? Let's start with Randy.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So I listened to that conservation meeting, more than one. And
Yeah.
I don't think it's a gimme that they're going to issue conditions, because two of them were more than on the fence about it. One of them said she's not going to approve it, and another one said she wasn't sure, and they were disgusted by the project, basically. They were.
Well, I think that's a very strong term. Since they've decided to issue an order of conditions, clearly we have satisfied their concerns.
Well, I didn't get that impression. But anyway, so isn't it true that that extra path for 50 feet, that's, 50 feet long at the top of the coastal bank? That's where it is, at the top of the coastal bank?
I'm
The extra
sorry,
path?
what extra path?
So you're asking for a proposed landing and stairs, right?
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
one.
In the path from the bottom of the stairs to the elevator walkway?
Yeah, so then the other is, what's it called? Proposed 3-foot wide managed access path.
Right, that actually is at the bottom of the coastal bank.
That's not at the top of the coastal bank?
No, because the salt marsh goes right up to the edge of it.
Yeah, so it's along the salt marsh.
Yeah.
So why do you have to do that when you already can go straight down and you have those proposed 3-by-8 foot landing and stairs, right? You have that, and you go down, and everybody can use that. That has an easement, right? You could use that to go
Yeah,
down to the
you
water.
can use that.
Okay, so that's one way to the water. So why do you need to put more things in the salt marsh when it's fundamentally bad for the environment to do that? Why can't
Well,
you just use the
all
one
I say is
path?
that was fully discussed in the rationale for having the elevated walkway over on the left-hand side rather than directly under the stairs, at the Conservation Commission meeting. So, I mean, candidly, I don't really recall why. I mean, I know there was significant reasons why it's placed there, and we presented those reasons to the Conservation Commission.
But you're asking us for a special permit, so I want to know why one access to the water isn't enough, that you have to disrupt a path and then have another set of stairs with a kayak rack, when you already have the other first portion to go down. Why do you need to do two more things? That's what I'm asking. You're asking to do three things, right?
The elevated stairs,
Yep,
the path,
right.
and the catwalk.
Yeah, so you have.
And you want to know why is the
elevated stairs.
catwalk not in front of the stairs?
Right, well, at all. You already can get to the water from your first
Oh,
path.
you can only walk through that's where the salt marsh is. If you look on the plan, you can see the salt marsh goes right up to the edge of the path. So the salt marsh is all along the front of that property, and it's quite wide. And so
So what happens when you get down the proposed landing and stairs? You end up in the salt marsh, right?
Right.
Okay. So then you have to be in a salt marsh. So that's one structure that you want to put in the salt marsh, or leading to the salt marsh. Why isn't that enough?
Well, the stairs are not in the salt marsh. We only have one structure in the salt marsh. The stairs are on the coastal bank. And you get to the bottom of the coastal bank, there's no coastal beach, it's just salt marsh.
So,
So you have vegetation down the hill, then you have salt marsh that goes out into the deeper water. And so the purpose of the catwalk is to get you across the salt marsh to the edge of the water, to the edge of the salt marsh, so they're no longer going to be damaging the salt marsh.
but do you know what I mean? Like, why do you need to put both, you're trying to get to the water, and you're getting, are you not getting to the water? Sarah, can you help me out with that? Aren't they getting to the water with this ask? No? What are they getting to? What is the point of that ask?
So if you look at the plan, Randy, the bottom of the first set of staircase, that is the top of the salt marsh. If you go further down, you'll see the line, the dashed line that I'm moving the hand over is the bottom, the end of the salt marsh before you get to the water.
Okay,
Right there.
so everybody that has access through this neighborhood can go down that one, right?
Right.
And then where do they end up?
Well, where they end up is not our issue.
Well, you're asking for us to approve that, so I'm just a little confused. Aren't you asking for us to approve those steps?
Yes.
Okay, so what do the steps lead to? They lead to the
They
salt marsh.
lead to a path that goes like this.
Okay, so can everybody go down that path too, or just your client?
I don't know the title issues there.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with them. Apparently, from Mr. Burns' point of view, he's had discussions with our client, and they're going to use this stuff. But, nobody's explained anything about the title issues, the real estate title issues to me.
So then, once you get to the salt marsh, you're asking for a catwalk to go over it?
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any more questions.
Jenny?
Okay, I have a few more. I don't think it's clear where the path is, at least not, I thought the path was on the, see where the notation says proposed 3-foot wide managed access path? I thought the path, when we did the site plan, or did the site visit, there's a path that's behind all the brush. That's not the path, and it's on that side. So is that?
It was, initially, it was proposed that the path would be at the top of the hill.
Okay, where the green notation says managed
Well,
path.
I know, but see, that arrow goes down here now.
Okay, oh,
And the reason for the change
I didn't see the arrow.
is that Mr. Litchfield, representing Mr. Doggett, appeared at the Conservation Commission meetings and objected to it. And it was clear to Mr. Heiser that if he continued to propose a walkway at the top of the bank, where Mr. Doggett would see people walking along,
Okay,
apparently that's very offensive.
so now the
And,
walk,
and Mr. Doggett has a history of litigation, so they decided that
okay,
discretion was a better part of valor, and they moved the path down to the foot of the coastal bank.
Okay, there are a lot of green lines, so I actually didn't see the green line with the arrow that was pointing to the other side of the coastal, I guess that's the coastal bank. The
Right,
green-
that,
Okay,
yeah, and that's in this clear area, that's the walkway. and-
Okay.
And this is all the work that Blue Flags is going to do to
so
improve
when we
the,
were there before and we saw that path, and then I saw a path in that area, that's why I thought that that was the path we're referring
Right.
to. Okay, so you've got a lot going on. Can I break this down? One, you've got elevated landing and stairs. The landing is 3 by 8. How long are the stairs? I mean, I'm looking at the drawing here. It looks like it's 3/8, but it doesn't say how long those stairs are.
which stairs are we talking about?
The elevated landing and stairs, the first part of the project, the stairs that we're talking about where the neighbors can use it, that's currently not there. It's like in-ground steps that are being replaced with an elevated staircase. That one, yep.
Well, look- So
It,
this,
It's eight steps I count, Ginny.
okay, so
There's a
it's an eight-
section on the plan.
so
on the
the,
plan.
so the first section is 8 feet,
Yep, that's the landing,
length,
and then the
and then you've
bottom
got the,
part,
then you've got the stairs.
okay, and there are 8 stairs according to Dave Veach, and each one of them is 18 inches, is that, so,
No, each step would, well, it depends on the ratio, the treads would be less than a foot, probably. They might be about, I don't think they'd be 18.
I'm just trying to get an idea of how long that whole thing is, as opposed, so I could look at it and guess that it's 20 feet from
17, it scales 17 feet.
17, okay. So you're asking for a 17-foot elevated landing plus stairs that are 3 feet wide. Then there's a 3-foot wide path that is in between, is at the top of the marsh and the bottom of the coastal bank, going all the way, and that's a nice long stretch of path. Is that,
Right.
that's just for people to access? It's not, you're not doing anything to make a path, are you? You're not putting in pavers or, I mean, it's.
No, it's just people just walking on the ground.
Okay, so I just was wondering why is it even being delineated? Is there a reason why that's,
Yes, I'm happy to explain that.
okay, all right?
Because under, given the wisdom of the town meeting, they felt it was important that if you're having a mowed path in the Conservancy District, that the zoning board get to determine whether or not that's okay.
Okay,
So this, what happens, is this predates Chatham's Wetlands Protection Bylaw. And so the people who were concerned about abuse of these areas built a lot of these protections into the zoning bylaw. We then passed the Wetlands Protection Bylaw, but nobody went back and took these protections out of the zoning bylaw, so they remain there so that, in fact, I think Mr. Nixon may recall a time when we had over at the end of Uncle Albert's Way, a mowed path in the Conservancy District that was denied. So, so that's, but that's why it's there. Initially, the zoning bylaw was used for wetlands protection. So that's why it's there.
okay, but is there really a path there? Or is it a mowed 3-foot wide path in between
Well-
the salt marsh and the,
I believe until now, they've walked along the top.
okay. I'm going to tack on to Randy's question. How are folks going to know when they go down this shared new staircase, okay, that is replacing the existing in-ground steps? How are they going to know to stop and take a right and walk down the path and go over the catwalk? Why wouldn't they just cross the salt marsh? What's
Well,
preventing them from doing
In the
that?
first place, the owner of the property is submitting the application. He's very much aware of the path and the location of the catwalk.
Okay, so this is, so the staircase is shared. The dock, or not the dock, the catwalk will not be shared.
As far as I know,
Okay, so you're asserting that this is for the protection of the salt marsh, when everyone else will be traipsing through the salt marsh because they
Well, we
don't have
don't-
access to the catwalk.
You know,
Is that not right?
I don't know if they're traipsing through the salt marsh or not.
Well, what are they gonna do at the bottom of the stairs? Is that
So-
not the
so
marsh?
I'll tell you what, we'll prevent them from using the stairs.
That's,
See,
I'm trying to understand, the argument is, we want to protect the salt marsh. I watch conservation too. It's a big issue.
right.
That's not protecting the salt marsh if everyone else has to go through the salt marsh.
You know, it's difficult for me to get my head around your argument, because right now, as Mr. Burns said, I guess they walk through the salt marsh and get to their dinghy.
Okay.
All right, so we're going to reduce the number of people that do that.
By one neighbor.
Well, maybe Mr. Burns is going to do it too.
Well, I'm just trying to understand. I'm not making an argument. I'm trying to understand the value of a 40-foot catwalk for one person when everyone else is walking through the salt marsh. I mean, that's what I'm understanding. It's not clear. This is, as I mentioned, there's a lot going on, and it's frankly, it wasn't clear what was happening. I'm trying to find out.
We're trying to provide protection for the salt marsh and have a way to get out to our skiff, and we're doing significant plantings above the 4-foot walkway, which are a real benefit to the environment. And whether there's one person that uses this or 5 people that use it, I mean, there are people who walk through the salt marsh all up and down the river. We're trying to reduce the amount of traffic through the salt marsh.
Okay, a couple more just quick questions. The kayak racks that are also being proposed, 2 kayak racks, and how many kayaks does each rack hold?
2.
2. So that's 4 kayaks proposed, okay.
So the kayak racks are just on the side of the railing. So they're not like a separate structure. It's just a hook on the side of the railing so that you can hang your kayak there. So you don't have to carry it all the way back up the hill.
Right, it's sort of at the top of the, right after the stairs, the top of the catwalk. And then, Mr. Riley, I did watch the conservation hearing, and you were there, and you mentioned that, because it was asked, why can't it be a shared catwalk? And you mentioned that it's a legal issue. It's a private catwalk. Is that?
Well, I've represented people who had agreements with people to use, and they run into insurance issues. So it's easier for them to simply not do anything in writing, allow the neighbors to use it, and then they have no liability to the people who are using it. I believe is the situation in terms of insurance, has to do with insurance. Oh, well, Mr. Insurance is right next to you. So I've had clients who have problems because of that. So other than that,
So what's being proposed is a private catwalk, fair to say?
well, it's only owned by a single person. So yeah, it's private.
Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Steve?
All right, I just want to sort of continue the previous 2 conversations. So the new path that's being proposed, it's highlighted in green there, does that start and stop at the elevated stair on the east side of this picture?
It starts at the elevator stair and goes to the catwalk.
Okay. So there's public access, it says on the west side of where the catwalk is going to be, it says public access, which implies to me that there's people that walk along there. So if they were to walk there and walk around the proposed catwalk and along that path, where are they going to go when they get to the end of it, other than on those elevated stairs?
Now I'm confused. Which
Well,
way?
that pathway dead ends at the elevated stairs.
Yeah, see, we have a thing called the Colonial Ordinance of 1641 that gives people the right for fishing, fowling, and navigation below the mean high water mark. And so the purpose of public access is to preserve the rights granted in the Colonial Ordinance of 1641. So we don't know how they got to the property, but when they get to the catwalk, see, presumably, they're not walking on the upland. Presumably, they're walking somewhere, between the high water mark and the low water mark. And so the state regulation requires that to keep the rights under the Colonial Ordinance of 1641, you have to provide public access. And it used to be, we used to have the steps over the structure. They've changed the regulations now, so that as long as we provide access around the upland side of the stairs, that satisfies preserving the rights under the Colonial Ordinance for people who are walking along, fishing, quahogging, whatever people do when they're walking along in the mud. I'm not a big fan of that myself. In fact, when I came down the Cape, I made a deal with the quahogs that I wouldn't bother them if they didn't bother me, so.
All right, so is there then the same level of public access around the elevated stair? Where do people go when they get to that point?
Well, if they get to the elevated stairs, they're trespassing on my client's property. The Colonial Ordinance preserves rights below the mean high water mark. And so the mean high water mark is here. So presumably, people are walking along. The reason we don't have anything at the elevated stairs is that, they're walking along the mean high water mark, and they want to get around the structure, so they go up around that, like that, so they don't have to walk out into the deep water.
So you're blocking public access.
We're not blocking public access.
Well, if they have to walk around it, you're blocking something.
There are regulations governing public access. And as we show on the plan, we're complying with the regulations regarding public access. I mean, every structure that we deal with, and you've approved, this board has approved many over the years. Every single structure provides public access. Either, recently they've approved it just by letting people walk up on the high ground and around. When we're doing revetments requirements have to provide public access along the top of the revetment. So this is simply being in full compliance with the state regulations.
All right, and I guess I think it was asked before, but why can't the catwalk be built at the end of the elevated stair? Just have that straight out instead. Why, I don't get the need for the path to go west and then down some more stair. I don't understand that.
Well, I have to tell you, I don't remember.
Okay.
I was at the meeting.
That's fair. Okay.
But it was months ago at this point.
Okay.
And it was,
All right.
and again, it was approved by the Conservation Commission
I
in this format.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Randy, do
Yeah,
you
so
know the answer to that?
I have learned the answer to that because I asked it. Why can't you just put the catwalk at the end of the initial steps? And I was told by the most reliable source I've ever met that you would need a variance for that because it wouldn't meet the setback requirement.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so,
That would be,
let's keep that in the back burner of our minds. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
yeah, yeah. So Sarah is the one that answered that.
Yeah, because
Lee,
under our bylaw, the stairs can be 3 feet from the property line,
imagine asking for
but the catwalk has to meet the setback.
Right, yeah.
Lee.
So in addition to, it would need a variance. I think that the reason the catwalk is moved over to the west is because that is where the applicant's property line is. There is a line that points to a reserved beach, which I'm not exactly sure what that means. And then a line that has a private beach. And I think that the homeowner owns a portion of that beach.
Oh, I think, no, it's a neighborhood. See, if you show the easement going up to the, yeah. So that's the easement that Mr. Streiber was talking about. So the entire, and Mr. Byrne, the entire neighborhood has a right to use that easement to come down to the shore. And so in the subdivision plan, this area is a reserved beach, so they couldn't put structures on it.
Okay, and so that's the meaning of a reserved beach,
Right. It's part of the subdivision,
and can never have structures on them.
right?
on it. So that is why it is moved to the west. Is there an association associated with this subdivision?
I'm not familiar. Mr. Byrne might know.
You can come up. I guess there's 5 properties within the subdivision?
There are, get up here, I'm going to help you out. No. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, including Doggart. So Doggart also, being on the cul-de-sac, has the right to the easement. So he could come out his driveway and go down the easement. The beach, based on what I know, is the beach we have access to the beach in the easement. So we can, I'm not sure about if there's public or private, so he may have a section of this that's a private beach.
Oh, I think part of this, I think it's reserved for you and the other property owners.
Right, right, so that's,
Section here.
that's right. So,
You know, put your towel down there and.
no, you don't want to put a towel down there, no. So to extend that catwalk straight down, we need access to the dinghies. So when we come down the embankment, our dinghy is there. And it's between Sam's, right near Sam's easement at the bottom of the hill. So to put a catwalk there and then have to climb down a ladder, that's not going to work. You know, for us to get to, I'd rather have straight down steps, also from the top of their near their home, that gets very steep down there. So I think their intention is to add some more steps coming down. But the catwalk, I'm assuming that we could use the catwalk. That's what I'm assuming based on conversations I've had, that would be open to us, the 4 or 5 properties that are there, which would be good because sometimes when you're coming in on a boat, if you have people on the boat, you want to get close to some type of structure, and so it makes sense. But we're using, next to Sam, there's another structure on the other side of your easement where there is a ladder, and sometimes we'll pull our boat in there when it's low tide or high tide, just to let people off and come down. So, but I'm assuming that we could use that. We're going to be able to use that.
Yeah. All right, so that answers your question. Mr. Heiser has granted the other members of his subdivision the right to use the catwalk.
That's very nice.
Dave?
I'll come back to you. I don't think, I was going to ask Bob for comment, but we've heard that now, and I don't, I think I'm understanding the complexities here, but, so I don't have any questions right at the moment.
Ed?
Yeah, I had questions for Bob, if you don't mind. So in practicality, how do you see all this working? It's a cul-de-sac. The first set of stairs they're not private, they're open to the public, but there's
No.
no place for anyone to park.
Can't park, it's a private road.
Yeah, it's a private road.
Nobody parks there.
So even though that says public, it's really just for your association.
It's only for only 5 properties that can use it. And there's a sign at the top as you enter the easement.
Yeah.
It's only for certain properties, so it's
Okay.
private. It's marked.
I missed that. And
Right.
we can't do the catwalk straight off those stairs because it's too long. You need a variance. So it needs to be 20, it needs to meet the setback.
And I
So that's why
don't
it's
want to be
moved
walking
over.
down a ladder because I need to get down
Yeah.
to the salt marsh. And we don't use it, we go straight out, so.
So the first set of stairs go all the way to the bottom of the bank. Then you traverse along the bottom of the bank to the catwalk, and then the catwalk goes across the salt marsh. Yeah, okay.
Okay.
I fully understand it. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
Paul?
Thanks, Bob.
Okay, I think I understand it, but I get, the last part that I wasn't quite clear on is, are you saying that the catwalk will be available for use by all of the other people on the cul-de-sac?
Well, that was a conversation that Mr. Byrne had with Mr. Heiser.
I understand that, but you're representing the client who is going to put in the catwalk, right?
Yeah, I know, but I haven't had that conversation with them. And my senior partner didn't tell me, if that was part of it. But Mr. Byrne has been assured that he and the other homeowners in the subdivision, the 5 other property owners, will be able to use the catwalk as well as the stairs.
So if we made that a condition of approval, are you saying that that would be acceptable, or?
Well, one of the difficulties with that is that this august body, as wonderful as it is, as omnipotent as it is, doesn't have the right to grant property rights. So, you could put it in there, but it wouldn't be effective because you don't have the power to grant a property right. The agreement that Mr. Byrne has with his neighbors,
So, from your viewpoint, it doesn't make sense for us to try and make a legal requirement that it be available.
No, you could,
But on the other hand, from an environmental viewpoint, we're not solving any problems unless everybody uses it.
well, in the first place, I disagree that we're not solving any problems. My suggestion would be that anything that reduces foot traffic in the salt marsh is solving a problem. Mr. Byrne clearly has a good relationship with Mr. Heiser. And so Mr. Heiser's told him, sure, you guys can use it. Part of the problem with imposing an obligation is that then each property owner is going to have to provide insurance coverage. It just gets complex. I mean, if you want to put that condition in, I should go ahead. I don't know, what the effect of it would be, but you can put it in there, and and that'd be your condition on the You presumably would have to, you know, I don't know what Jay would do, but.
All right, well, I think you answered my question. So I don't have any further questions.
All right, thank you, Paul. Jenny, you had something else?
Well, just, there's a note on the site plan that says public access around the end of the walkway.
I'm sorry, what?
There's a note on the site plan, way to the far left, that says public access around end of the walkway.
Yeah, per DEP.
Yeah, so that is referring to the walk, the whole walkway from the stairs, elevated stairs, right? That's the walkway we're talking about?
I think it's anybody coming up here, no matter how they get there. There's no.
I think that's a fair interpretation, but I,
How they're gonna get there. It's simply stating that if you are, let's say, trespassing, or you're coming along here and you end up there, they are going to provide public access around the end of that stair and then take this, but,
Okay.
but there's nothing here,
okay.
right?
No. So where the public access stairs would be required to be would be on the plan where you see the points B and A,
Okay,
right there where it segments on the catwalk, because the line just above that is your mean high water line.
okay. But we don't know how somebody's gonna get there outside of walking along the.
So the note is saying public access around the end of the walkway, meaning down where it's at the private beach, reserve beach, they walk around
no,
at the bottom of the catwalk,
no,
not at the top.
Sarah,
Or walk over.
public access
Yeah, it's pointing to that,
is right there,
top of the,
and they've got arrows showing public
so
access.
it's to the,
So you'd come along here. Who knows how you go.
So they're walking up, the public's walking up and through the marsh and then back down through the marsh?
Well, the purpose of public access is so that somebody's walking, taking advantage of the colonial ordinance, and the DEP allows structures. In fact, the regulations encourage structures. They want to make sure that there's a way around, just as I pointed out, all the revetment orders have a requirement that the public has to have access along the top of the revetment. And so it's the same thing here. You know, so if you're walking along the beach and you come to a revetment, you know, presumably you can continue walking along the beach, but the property owner is required to provide access up around the structure. So you don't have to go out deeper into the water. I mean, that's, you know, it's a DEP regulation, we're just following it.
Okay, so I think we should go into deliberations.
Can I clarify one more thing?
Well, and you can start deliberations too.
Oh, okay, so just, this is an actual question, though. What's the difference between the reserve beach and, it says end of reserve beach, and then reserve beach, private beach? Two different beaches?
Well, I think the subdivision plan, when the property was originally subdivided, the person who did the subdivision said, well, oh, we have a beach. It's a great sales technique. Of course, it's where there's salt marsh, so it really wasn't much of a beach. But that's, you know, when they created the subdivision, they gave every property owner in the subdivision the right to use that area as a beach.
Okay. And then there's also a reserve beach, private beach at the end of the ladder? Same thing? Okay, so it's the same thing. So everybody has access to that,
Right.
for sure? Okay, but your client is the only one, according to what was said at the Conservation Committee meeting, commission, your client would be the only one that can use the proposed steps and kayak racks. Those are his kayak racks,
Right.
right?
Yes,
Yeah, and that's his catwalk, right?
yes.
That's his catwalk. And there was a big stink made out of that. That was his catwalk, and you said that the neighbors don't get along, and that's why they need their own way.
What I was referencing, my history with neighbors trying to share structures. And in my experience, lots of times they start out agreeing, and then they run into difficulties. But, right now, we have a grant of permission, it's not an easement, but permission for the other members of the subdivision to use the catwalk, the stairs, the walkway, and the catwalk.
I know that you're saying that, but I'm going to leave it at that, because that's what I heard at the meeting, so, thank you. So now I'll move to.
Deliberations, yeah.
If I could just make one comment, it's proof, Mr. Byrne is proof that the neighbors are getting along.
That's one neighbor. There's 5.
It's also today.
That's today. So I'm going to move to close the public hearing and move into deliberations.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Randy votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes. Okay, Randy,
I have to go.
deliberations.
All right, so I'm just going to sort of opine that the extra path is not needed, because the idea for the resource area is to avoid and minimize. And, there should just be one way down, and they all have access to it, like you said. And, disturbing, the salt marsh is not really in compliance with the bylaw, if you don't need to do it especially. I know there's a tension between property owners' rights and the environment. And I think Paul hit the nail on the head when he said we're not really solving anything with this, because there's going to still be people walking right through the salt marsh. And now you just want to add another structure and another path. And, there was a presentation at the Board of Selectmen recently about the perils of putting structures in the salt marsh. And I understand that there's also an effort that's made right now that's in the works to try to increase salt marsh areas. And this would be one of the areas that they would want to increase the salt marsh on. That's my understanding based on people I've talked to. So that path restricts that potential. So I'm not in favor of this, because I don't think it's necessary, and I don't think the property owner's rights outweigh the damage to the environment. So that's my position.
Ginny?
Yeah, I watched the conservation hearing too, and they really did stress the vulnerability of the salt marsh, the importance of the salt marsh, and concerns about why all these structures are being built and where, and really the necessity of it. It seems to be, I'm not clear on, I'm for the preserving of the salt marsh, and I can see how the catwalk would do that, but it's not clear in the previous hearings that we watched, and it's not clear tonight that this wouldn't be just for a handful of people and not for the good of the whole area. So I am not convinced that it's going to solve a problem that we have, because people will go down the stairs if they don't have access to the catwalk and walk through the salt marsh. So I think the one word I would use is looking for a way to minimize the impact. Conservation said that as well. It's 40 feet long. We're talking about proposing that catwalk, and with 4 kayaks on it. It's just, I think it's too much. I wouldn't be able to support it either.
Steve?
Well, I'm a little concerned about, and I see that there's public access, or at least neighborhood access to the end of the proposed landing and stairs, to where it meets the pathway. I'm unclear, and I'm sort of apprehensive about approving this if the neighborhood doesn't have access, if the easement maybe, or whatever, however you want to do it, the easement is extended along that pathway for everyone to use to get to the catwalk. If that's not the case, then this is a catwalk for one family, because nobody else can technically get to it. They have to dead end at the bottom of those stairs. So I guess I would rather see something in writing to say that, you know, these 5 houses are gonna be able to use this path in the catway in perpetuity. Because right now, that, you know, you could say that they're gonna be able to use it, and Bob Burns, you know, thinks they can use it. I don't know. It's not in writing.
Lee?
Yeah, I'm torn on this one, too. Always in favor of protecting the salt marsh. In the long run, I think that a professionally designed and installed catwalk would do that, and it's actually intended to stay. I mean, it's not going to be taken out seasonally. It's going to stay. So it is a minimal disruption once as the installation. But I did listen to the Conservation Commission hearing as well. And Conservation, Shellfish, the Stage Harbor Coastal, they were all really opposed to it, only because I think they think there's just too many. And the question is, when is it too many? When do you have to just say no? So I'm not voting today, but I would really struggle with this one. I understand a homeowner's right. I do understand that, but I think in this location, it's just very tricky.
Dave?
Well, I think that, I'm kind of glad I haven't watched the Conservation Commission hearings on this, honestly. Because I mean, were I voting today, I think I can find a way to vote, that I would vote in favor of this. I mean, we've raised a number of issues and that are concerns, but, you know, we're in this complicated situation of trying to work within the laws that exist, the colonial access laws, the town bylaws, all these various things, and I think clearly that's what's led to this design being the way that it was done with the private beach line and all the various things, and the inability to just extend the staircase without it needing a variance. There's just being squeezed in so many ways, and I think, as Lee pointed out, having the catwalk there it's designed to be minimally invasive to the marsh and be a place that can be used for access to get over the marsh. Now, as far as the understanding agreement between the owner of the property and the other holders of the easement, yes, we are kind of dependent on there being goodwill and the agreements, and people get along, and so more than one property owner would be able to use it, and maybe all 5 would be able to use it if it's in place. I also could understand why, for insurance purposes, they may not want that agreement in a legal format. There's all kinds of complicated issues here, but ultimately, what underlies it is that, and, believe me, I've seen this in my own experience, the draw to the use of the water, our water resources is powerful. And so, this easement exists, and it's there now, And, you know, as I was looking at it with Mr. Burns and things, you know, I think having the staircase there is very much an improvement over climbing down that bank to get there. And I think that whether that catwalk gets used by one person or 6 people, or, you know, I don't see the downside in allowing the catwalk to be there. It has to meet the requirements for longshore access. It has to, and, you know, it seems to me the objections I'm hearing are coming from the fact that, well, it's only gonna be for one person. Well, we don't know that. But we do know that the design, it's been designed to meet the standards and is not going, and if it gets put there, it's not gonna be more problematic for the marsh than what's exists. Now, are people maybe still gonna walk across the marsh? Perhaps so. But, you know, if with a enlightened, if you will, property owner, then the property owner can say, hey, use the path, use the catwalk. I don't wanna see you walking on, you know, but the easement is there and people are gonna use it. So I don't, in weighing it all, I don't think I think I would approve it. Thanks.
Ed?
Typically, something like this, it would be pretty straightforward for me to approve. But the fact that you have to traverse along the bottom of the bank to get to the catwalk, and there's no agreement between, you know, the whole neighborhood to use it, that's the one thing that bothers me. If I was voting, you know, I would want to see some type of a legal document that all of the association can use it. And that would, you know, for me, mitigate the fact that you have to transverse across the bottom of the marsh. So that would be the one way to get a positive vote from me.
Paul?
Well, it is a bit on the complicated side. But, you know, overall, we approve catwalks for individual property owners on a fairly frequent basis, without any provision that they're going to be used jointly with other people. So if you look at it from that viewpoint, it's an application by a property owner for a catwalk that would be used solely by the property owner. I don't think it improves the issue of whether there is crossing of the salt marsh by other people with access to that easement. But I'm not sure that's a problem that exists, pre-exists this whole thing. And I'm not sure it's one that we necessarily can require this particular homeowner to correct. I don't like the concept of a wink and a nod that, oh, don't worry about it, you know, it's not really an official use easement, because we don't really want that to be ostensibly required, because you're going to end up with insurance problems. I mean, you can solve the insurance problems by getting insurance, and then setting forth the provisions that the neighbors have the use of it. But I think ultimately the question becomes, is this a good location for an elevated stairway? And it seems to me that that should be primarily decided by the Conservation Commission and not us. It is within our purview, but there is a benefit, even if it's only one family, that is not going to be trooping across the salt marsh. So from that viewpoint, I could approve the location and leave it up to the Conservation Commission to make a determination as to whether that is in fact an appropriate location for an elevated stairway on the Oyster Pond.
Well, from my standpoint, you know, what Paul's argument was, that rings a bell with me to some degree about, you know, it's improving the path over the salt marsh for one person or one family. The business about an agreement for everybody, it's not going to happen. And if the property's sold tomorrow, you got a new person and all that. So I think we just have to say, it's not going to happen. I mean, if I owned it, I'm not going to do that. And this insurance question is, guess what, fans? If you own it, you're responsible. I don't care what kind of an agreement, you know, I mean, that's just a bunch of baloney. But my big objection is compared to what we have now, where the only path is way up at the top of the property line. I think there's a fence there, if I'm not mistaken. To moving that path down and making a new one at the bottom of the coastal bank, to me, is a crazy idea, because here's the salt marsh, and you're walking along it. Oh, well, let's go down here, let's go down here. You're just inviting trouble by allowing that to happen and the catwalk to happen. It's not great the way it is now, but I can't see that we should be trying to solve that problem with a catwalk for 1, 2, whatever it might be. That's over the salt marsh. So I'll be voting no. Okay, Mr. Bradley, you've heard what's happening up here. What do you want to do?
Well, I'd like to explore some of the suggestions that the board members have made with the client. So a continuance would be appreciated.
What date? We're getting you a date. We're getting you a date. Stand by,
thank you.
please. Thank you.
Mr. Riley, how long will you need?
Oh, I would say less than a month.
It gives you plenty of time to hand it over to your senior partner, too. Something tells me that's what's going to happen. Okay.
Would you like March 12th or March 26th?
Oh, March 12th, yeah, we're just getting ready for St. Patrick's Day.
March 26th?
Just to clarify, if I could for a moment, where would the Conservation Commission be with respect to this issue if we were to hear it on that date?
Typically, the Conservation Commission will not issue the order of conditions until after the zoning board has
Right.
rendered their decision, because they want to make sure that the zoning board doesn't say, okay, we want you to move the catwalk 8 feet to the left or something like that. So they want to know that zoning has finalized their process before they issue the order of conditions.
Okay, so
Right.
we won't have any further input from Conservation Commission.
You will not. I can seek for further comment if the board wants me to, but
No, we'll be in conversation with the Conservation Commission because we're currently scheduled to be there at their next meeting. So we'll be talking with them.
Okay.
So I move to continue this hearing until March 26, 2026?
There's a problem with that, Randy,
Oh,
the
what,
26th.
you won't be here.
Oh, I will,
Oh, you won't?
but
I think you told me you won't.
I told you I wouldn't be there on the 12th.
Oh,
I will be here on the 26th.
okay,
But it really should go to the first date in April.
okay.
When?
First date in April?
April 9th?
April 9th. I move to continue this hearing till April 9th, 2026.
I will second the motion and vote yes.
Yes,
Jeannie votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Well. Okay. All right. All right, let's see, Sarah, where did we move to? We moved to 26-003, please.
Application number 26-003, Jatin and Anna Patel, care of Lila Warner, P.O. Box 1249, Sandwich, Mass. 02563. Owners of property located at 12 Clark Meadows Way, also shown in the Town of Chatham's Assessor's Map 5B, Block 19C, Lot 13C. The applicant proposes to change, alter, or expand a nonconforming dwelling in a nonconforming lot via the construction of additions, decks, and the installation of exterior mechanical system appliances. The existing dwelling is nonconforming in that it is located 28 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District. The proposed additions/decks will be nonconforming in that they will be located 24 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The proposed exterior mechanical system appliances will be nonconforming in that they will be located 40 feet from the Coastal Conservancy District where a 50-foot setback is required. The existing building coverage is 1,697 square feet, 11%, and the proposed building coverage is 2,030 square feet, 14%, where 15% is the maximum allowed. The lot is nonconforming in that it contains 15,022 square feet of buildable upland where 20,000 square feet is required in the R20 zoning district. A special permit is required under Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 6 and Section 5B of the protective bylaw.
So before you begin, as I understand it, you have not gone in front of conservation yet. Is that correct? Yeah.
Correct.
So what we'll do today is you can make the presentation, and we would have questions from the board that would give us some idea, but we will not go into deliberations or make a decision. So as long as that's fine with you?
Yes. So it'd be a continuance, essentially, and then you'll hear what
Yeah,
the
that's right.
commission says, and then-
So if you'd like, you can just ask for a continuation now, or you can make the presentation and we can ask you questions if we want.
Yeah, I'd prefer to do the presentation, and you can ask
Okay.
me questions.
Okay, go ahead. Then please introduce yourself, and the floor is yours.
Yes. My name is Lila Warner, and I'm representing the homeowners, Jatin and Anna Patel. Anna is here. So they currently have their home as a seasonal home, and they're looking to move to Chatham full-time eventually in the next few years. And in order to do so, they're hoping to make these modifications that'll help support the change, which I'll outline in a moment. But I just want to, Sarah, if you could go to the site plan, because I want to show the significant constraints that we're dealing with. So we have a lot of setbacks that are going into the property, and that include the 50 to 100-foot wetland setback, the 200-foot river setback, and obviously the 50-foot conservancy district setback is covering almost the whole lot. So right here is the 50-foot conservancy district setback, covering, you can see covering almost the entire lot. Here is the 100-foot wetland buffer setback. And here is the 200-foot river setback. And then, obviously, we have a paved road in between Salt Marsh area and Cockle Cove Creek and the house. So, and before I go into it, so we're not proposing anything that's out of scale with the existing house or the neighboring property. So for context, our existing gross square footage is 3,600 square feet, and they're proposing increasing it to 4,200, which is a 600 square foot increase. The most comparable lot is the neighboring lot, which is 400 Cockle Cove Road, which is the property directly to the west. Our lot is 0.56 acres, theirs is 0.57. It's 300 square feet bigger. And their gross square footage is roughly just over 6,000 square feet. So for context, again, we're just proposing 4,200 square feet. And there's several other properties on the road that are similar, but just to reiterate that we're not trying to go out of scale with what we see around there. So if you don't mind going back to the 3Ds now. Okay. Perfect. So So first and foremost, I want to say that we maximized the square feet that we had within the existing footprint before we even thought about going outside the footprint. So we did so by adding 3 dormers. So you can see that we had 2 shed dormers in that third. Here, these 2 dormers are new, and then this dormer is new. And we weren't able to get, the program that we felt was missing from the project was a formal dining room. They currently don't have that and they don't have the ability to convert any space within the footprint to that. And they don't have a dedicated primary bathroom. So that was the scope that we were missing, and that's why we're proposing a 12 by 21 foot addition, which you can see here. It is smaller than, or it doesn't increase the building height. It's shorter than the main gable of the house, and it's done in the same architectural style with a few aesthetic upgrades, flying rakes, things just added trim, things that just will increase the curb appeal, nothing significant. And then the other main goal that we had was outdoor deck space, outdoor space to enjoy their view. They have a beautiful view of Cockle Cove Creek, but they don't really have any space outside to enjoy it. So Sarah, if you don't mind zooming into this picture, I just want to show the existing of what, the one at the bottom. I just want to show this deck right here. So they have an existing 10 by 12 deck that's actually shared with the front door of their house. This is the only door they have to their house other than the garage man door. So you can't really put a lot of outdoor furniture on that. It's not really usable as an outdoor deck because we have to keep that space clear for people getting in and out, especially with it being the only door to the outside. So what we're proposing, and now you can scoot back just so, yeah, those 2 images are perfect. So what we're proposing is a deck that projects 6 feet from the face of the building that goes the full width of the house. So obviously the existing area would be just dedicated for circulation, and the rest would be so that they could use it. The only place where that projects a little bit more, and it's for screening and aesthetic reasons so that we don't have a freestanding hot tub eyesore, because you'll be able to potentially see that, their neighbors can see that and people driving by. So it projects a little bit more just so they have a little catwalk around it to mask a freestanding hot tub. So in the same vein of wanting that outdoor space, they have an existing sunroom right here, and we are going to use that whole space. We're going to convert it to flat roof, and we're going to have the rooftop deck, and we're proposing increasing it by 10 feet to cover that existing front door area so that we were able to minimize what we were asking for out here so that we can have as much as we can over 2/3 of existing footprint and 1/3 additional, but it also provides protection from rain and elements for the front door, and provides a little bit more of a wayfinding feature of people know where to go when they get to the house. Because I did a once around the house before I knew where to go in. And then if you go up to the upper 2. Yeah, so the same thing with wanting just a little more outdoor space, be able to enjoy their views. We're proposing a 4'6" deep cantilevered balcony over the existing, over the garage, over what is existing gravel driveway. And then lastly, they wanted to provide a second means of egress to their second floor. So in the place that they could do that was least visible from the street was to the west side of the property, so that it was hidden from most people driving by, unless they're on Clark Meadows. So, so overall, we're just trying to increase their functionality to be able to move here full-time, and they want to get more outdoor use, as they really have a beautiful view and just aren't really able to enjoy it from an outside standpoint, and also looking to increase the curb appeal in this. And I want to say that, they intend to only build off-season, and there is enough space on the property to put all construction vehicles during construction, so there won't be any impact to cars passing, neighbors going to the beach. And I also want to say that on the south side of the property, you can see it on the site plan. I don't know if you want to jump to that real quick, but we're proposing a dry well. So all runoff from the existing house, which right now just drains directly to grade, would go into a dry well. So we're taking care of a water runoff problem that currently doesn't have a solution. So the impact of the water runoff of the addition is really not going to cause significant impact, because we are dealing with it in a better way for the entire house. And so, anyway, I that's all from me.
Okay. Our criteria, I think you've touched on some, but just quickly review it. And, ones that you don't think you addressed, you should do now.
Okay. So the adequacy of the size of the site, I addressed that. The compatibility of the size of the proposed structure with neighboring properties, I believe I addressed that. The extent of the proposed increase in nonconforming nature of the structure or use. So in terms of the nonconformity of the lot, we can't do anything without it being nonconforming. So anything we proposed here is increasing the nonconformity, because we are projecting more into these significant setbacks that are on the property. Unfortunately, there wasn't a way around that, and that was why we tried to really maximize what we did within the footprint before we even thought about going out of that. The suitability of the site, so the impact on neighboring properties, there's one neighbor that it could possibly impact, and it is, hold on, 382 Cockle Cove Road, and they wrote a letter in support of the project. And the impact, I touched on the impact on the groundwater, or the water runoff, the stormwater runoff. The vegetation, wetlands, and we're going to be working with conservation. We're willing to plant, whatever they feel is appropriate to offset what we're proposing. So the impact of the scale, siting, and mass on the neighborhood. So we do not feel that we are impacting the scale. Our proposal is not as tall as the existing structure, with the exception of the cupola, but I believe that there is an exception in the zoning that doesn't count towards the building height. And then the adequacy of the method of sewage disposal, and we are not proposing adding any bedrooms, and Board of Health, I believe, wrote a letter saying that they have no concerns. Impact on traffic flow and safety. Like I said, we're gonna be able to house all the construction vehicles, so we do not anticipate any impact on the traffic. The noise and litter, we're only gonna be building during off-season, and then not on the weekends either, or strictly ending at 5 PM. The adequacy of the utilities, we believe these are adequate. The only thing that we're adding is a proposed mechanical equipment, should the addition need that. And the visual impact on the neighborhood?
I think you did.
Okay, all right.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone here today or on Microsoft Teams that would like to speak in favor of this project? If so, please indicate you'd like to speak. Seeing none, I'll read the correspondence. First, we have a note. This is from Crystal Keon. She's the Wetlands Permitting Coordinator. So she writes from, well, we have received a notice of intent application that will be heard on February 25th. That's the conservation, yeah. Judith Giorgio writes on February 9th, I have no concerns regarding this proposal. There will be no septic increase or encroachment on the septic system. Then we have a note. This is from William Ray, and he gives a real estate address on February 11th. Writes, I was recently made aware of a proposed project. I am very familiar with that area as I've sold several homes, as well as having friends who live on Colquitt Road and Island View Lane. I have spent quite a bit of time on Colquitt Cove Beach while visiting friends as well as using the kayak ramp. After reviewing the project, I would be in support of the changes that are being proposed to the property. They seem to be consistent with neighboring properties and do not adversely affect the ability to enjoy Colquitt Cove Beach. I think the additions and renovations add quite a bit of character to the house that would be quite pleasing to passers-by. Then we have a note from Kurt and Debbie Carberry, 382 Colquitt Cove Road, February 7th, writing in support. They're wonderful neighbors, truly love Chatham, take great pride. They took the time to explain the project to us in detail. And based on our understanding, we feel strongly their proposed expansion will have no negative impact on the neighborhood. On the contrary, believe the project will enhance not only their property, but also the surrounding homes and overall character. Then we have a note from Beth Berry, 79 Atwood Lane in Chatham, February 6th, writing to share my support. As a seasonal resident who cherishes the charm and beauty of Chatham, especially its stunning beaches, I believe this project is a thoughtful and beneficial enhancement to the neighborhood. After reviewing the architectural plans, I'm impressed by how well the design aligns with the character and scale of the surrounding area. As someone who visits Colquitt Cove and other Chatham beaches, I appreciate that this project will not negatively impact the coastal environment. Additionally, the modest addition and decks ensure there will be no added strain on the existing septic. Project like this amplify how mindful redesigns can elevate a property while preserving the unique integrity. Thank you for consideration. Then we have a note from Cynthia and Brian Casey, Jack Thomas and Rory Casey, and they're all at 444 Colquitt Cove, January 22nd. We're the owners of 444, fully support the request. It'll be, they're good neighbors. They keep their lovely home in great shape and are respectful. They are thoughtful of very highly of our little Colquitt Cove community. We understand they are requesting to expand the home, fully support it. And that's that. Is there anyone here today on Microsoft Teams that wishes to speak against or has a specific question? Gentleman in the back.
Brian Phillips, 374 Orleans Road. My first question is the hot tub one of like the above-ground removable hot tubs? Yeah. Okay, and my second question is the main purpose for this expansion in the coastal resiliency zone is for a dining room and a bathroom?
Yes.
I mean, I really hate to be a smart aleck or sound like a smart aleck, but where do they go to the bathroom and eat now?
So they don't have a formal dining room. They have an eat-in kitchen, but they have a large family, and so they're hoping to be able to just make it something that is more conducive to being able to have their family and friends. The other thing is is a 4-bedroom home. They have 2 bathrooms, so they are able to use the bathroom right now. But it's comparable to other properties. Having a primary bathroom is not unheard of, nor is a formal dining room.
Okay, so I guess, the point I'm kind of making is like, we've made more of a charge, recently, understanding, the importance of the environment, the coastal resiliency zone. It's like, I kind of feel like you need like a really good reason. And it seems like there's just kind of too much of an expansion still in a coastal resiliency zone for this project. Thank you.
So I just want to say their whole home is already in that zone.
I know.
So, yeah, so to be able to not do anything to their home is difficult. So and like I said, we tried to do everything we could within the footprint before the thought of going out was even considered. So it's 12 by 21. We're only doing crawl space foundation because we don't want to dig any deeper than we need to. And we are adding the dry well so that already the stormwater that is just going to grade and not draining well is going into a dedicated area. And so it is improving that aspect.
Okay, so I do understand the challenges, because I see a lot of these here about not being able to, being in the coastal resiliency zone. There's just a lot of, they hear my spiel every time they're building something in the coastal resiliency zone about it, being bad, able to mitigate. There actually is I went to a meeting where they're going to be expanding these zones. So, I mean, it just seems like there needs to be like some sort of overwhelming need to build in these zones for me. I don't know. These are the guys you gotta talk to. But so,
I think we're getting into a different area, Mr.
all right.
Phillips.
So I guess for those reasons, being built in a coastal resiliency zone, I'm against it.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. So what we're going to do, I'm just going to go around. If any member has a question or a comment, they will make it now, okay? No need for you to reply. These are just giving you a heads up for the continuance. So we'll start with Mr. Veach.
Well, this is the job, this is one where I needed my snowshoes when I was out the other day. But I don't have snowshoes. I'm on Cape Cod. I don't think I'm impressed that they're seeking to use the existing structure as much as they can before considering doing the expansion. I like the reasoning they're doing, offering a lot of improvements with what they have to work with. I think that I find that the architecturally, as I see it anyway, I think that what they're proposing is an improvement over the existing building, and looks like it springs from and honors the existing building and would look fine in the neighborhood. And they have support of various neighbors. To me, it looks like a very good project, and I could support it.
Yeah. Ed?
Well, I'll be interested to see how you do in conservation. The one question I guess I have is the necessity for that set of elevated staircase up to the second floor. There's a lot of pushback in town regarding, seasonal rentals and things like that. And so if you could address that.
What do you mean, seasonal rentals?
Vacation rentals, having a separate set of staircases
Oh,
to
like if it
that.
was trying to be converted to an ADU or something?
Not necessarily an ADU, but just increasing the amount of bedrooms and having a separate access.
Oh,
Your answer to that could be, it's just for
Oh, sorry, I'm
safety.
not allowed to.
But I would just, if you could think about that. Other than that, it's a modest increase. I think the scale and mass will fit into the neighborhood. And I wish you good luck with conservation.
Thank you.
Paul?
I had some of the same concerns as Ed did in terms of the elevated staircase on the backside. It is on the backside, which helps, but I'm not greatly enamored with that. Other than that, it's a very confined area, and they've attempted to conform as much as they can to a lot of those restrictions, which has been very nice. So I think those are the extent of my comments right now.
Randy?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. So I think it's very attractive, and I can't imagine having any problems with it, but I just want to point out, so before you had talked in your presentation about the extent of an increase in a nonconformity. So what we're seeing here is you're getting 4 feet closer to the Conservancy District. So that's your increase in nonconformity. Does that sound right?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, because you're supposed to be 50 feet.
Right.
And now you're 28, and with this project, you'll be 24, right?
For which part are you talking about? Because there's a lot, like, we talk about for
I guess the deck.
the deck, yes, because they're,
Yeah.
yes.
So they're not, just to clarify for Brian and for anyone else listening, so you're not in the Coastal Conservancy District, you're just a little closer than you're supposed to be, that's all.
We're in the 50-foot setback.
Yes.
Coastal,
But
but not,
you're not in the.
no, correct.
Yeah, so there's a difference. I mean, because we get plenty of applications that are squarely already in the Coastal Conservancy District. Okay, sounds good, bye.
Jenny?
Yeah, Lila, first of all. Lila, I wanted to say you did a great job and on your presentation, and I really like this page the most. I really like how, echoing what Dave Veach said about, you can see the original home and how you're making improvements, but it's definitely visible, the original structure, and the improvements are attractive. I do, to add a little more to what Randy was saying, and maybe in a little further rebuttal to what Mr. Phillips was just talking about, you're in an R20, which means that you need to have 20,000 square feet of property, and you have 24. Now, some of that is not buildable, right? That's your total lot. But your buildable upland is 15,000 square feet. It's about 65% of what you really need, and you outlined all that in your site plan. So I just wanted to point out that a lot of times we don't see that, and to Randy's point, they're really pushing it. I don't think you are. I see a 3% increase in building coverage. So your footprint is where it is, and I can't change that. And you are asking for a little more for the space, but that's why I like this page, because you can clearly see it's this portion of the house, which is frankly modest. It's 600 square feet. I don't care what you're using it for. I think that that's reasonable. That's my opinion. And then lastly, I would say I think you're making an improvement with the dry well. And so you're asking for a little more, but you're also offering something to mitigate that. And then lastly, I do agree with Ed. I think that the stairs detract from the attractiveness of the house, and they frankly add some mass to the house that I just think with the big balcony that you have on the top, which makes total sense. I don't like the stairs either, frankly.
Steve?
I guess first thing I'd like to say, I appreciate you having the sort of the before and after on the same page and at the same angle, so you can get an idea of what's actually changing here. I like the way that that's drawn. I'm not crazy about the stairs. I had some notes here. They seem a bit overpowering for something that may be only occasionally used as a secondary egress. So maybe you can just redesign something else there. Other than that, you might want to, what's the material that the patio is going to be made out of?
It'll be permeable.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's important, I think, that you
Yes.
call that out.
Yeah,
You know,
yes.
if it's not somewhere.
Yes, pervious. On the site plan, they have a
Okay.
P.
Okay,
there for
as long as you
the
call
patio.
that out and everybody is aware of that, I think that's a good idea.
Yes.
Other than that, I think you're off to a good start here, so good luck.
Thank you.
Lee?
Yeah, I agree. I think you've been very thoughtful with this. I think, using the original structure as much as possible is really important. I'm in agreement with my colleagues regarding the back staircase. I mean, if there's any way you can redesign and put the staircase inside, I'm a huge fan of 2 staircases in a house. Don't know if that's possible, but I would like that. I'm not sure if you need the cupola. But in general, I think it's a great project. I do not think it will be substantially more detrimental to the neighborhood.
Thank you for mentioning the cupola, Lee. Cupolas are great on barns. They really are. You know, when you have cows and, you know, get the air out. On a house like this, I'd like to see it eliminated. Outside of that, I have no other questions. So, Sarah, do we have a date that this could be continued to?
Well, Conservation had said you're going to be heard the 25th of February.
That's what they said. They had some questions that our wetland consultant has to respond to and requires just some further clarification on our site plan. And so I don't think that's going to be able to be returned to them tomorrow, which is when they need it. We just got the comments back today, so. I think the next meeting.
Which would be their meeting of March 11th. So if you're able to do that, we could have you on the 12th or the 26th, whichever works for you, of March.
Let's do the 12th.
I move to continue this hearing till March 12th, 2026.
I'll second the motion and vote yes.
Randy votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes, and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Randy?
Move to adjourn.
Yes.
All vote yes.
Second it.
Seconded.
Everybody can
And
vote.
vote yes.
Vetoes, yes.
Ed votes yes.
Randy votes yes.
Ginny votes yes.
Steve votes yes.
I vote yes.
I vote yes, and the official time is?
6:16 PM.